Hello again, I'm Claudine Wong. The victim was an Amazon delivery driver and was on his way to work when tragedy struck. New tonight, KTV's Betty Yu spoke with his grieving family and joins us in studio with their story. Betty?
Claudine, the family says Daniel Morales was on his way to an early morning shift for Amazon in Richmond when his car was hit. His family tonight still struggling to process this sudden and senseless loss. 40-year-old Daniel Morales was driving behind the wheel of this Hyundai Elantra early Friday morning when, according to CHP, a reckless driver in a Toyota Camry slammed into him. Investigators say the driver was under the influence. The impact launched Daniel's car off the I-80 overpass in Albany. It landed upside down on the road below. Daniel died instantly.
I couldn't believe it. I'm just like, that was my dad. It's just like, damn, he's gone. My dad was a really responsible person. He would have worked from 3 a.m. to 12 a.m.
Daniel held 4 jobs. He mainly worked for Amazon and DoorDash. The week before his death, he took time off to be with family from Guatemala. They went to a Metallica concert, visited Lake Tahoe, and spent time around San Francisco.
She still doesn't believe what happened. He would never drink. He would never, no drugs, no nothing.
His wife Erica says Daniel was kind, happy, and deeply devoted to their 3 children, ages 11, 16, and 19.
Sad. Just miss him.
Daniel loved music and played the guitar. His family has created this memorial for him in their backyard, a space filled with candles, flowers, and memories.
I just feel mad because, my dad was a family man. He was a hard worker. He cared about all of his friends, all of his family.
The suspected driver, a man in his 30s from El Cerrito, was arrested. He faces charges of felony DUI and gross vehicular manslaughter. He was not injured.
That whoever did it, if it's true that they were under the influence, that they get time, because it's not just. If it was here, I'd tell them that I love them.
The family has created a GoFundMe to help cover funeral expenses and support them during this tough time. Now, Adrian also shared with me that his father worked tirelessly and dreamed of one day buying a bigger home for the whole family. Claudine?
Such a tragic, tragic story. All right, Betty Yu reporting live. Thank you, Betty.
We begin with a new vision for the city of Oakland, one that may not include a major freeway cutting right through the center of town. We're talking about the growing momentum behind a plan to radically redesign 980 or tear it down altogether. Lauren Tom spoke to advocates who say it is a chance to correct a major mistake that's been hurting residents for decades.
Well, I-980 is a very tangible object, and my relationship with it is troubled, to say the least.
As David Peters walks underneath Interstate 980, he sees a past steeped in rich Black culture and a future that connects West Oakland with downtown. But until changes are made, he says the freeway is just a barrier.
This freeway is really more than anything else. It's a symbol of a divide between West Oakland and the rest of Oakland. So much of our identity in West Oakland has been forged by the trauma of these freeways, which were built to hem us in.
David's family has lived in West Oakland since before the freeway was built in 1985. And during its construction, 500 homes, 22 businesses, and several churches were demolished. Most of them were Black owned.
And you can tell a physical difference when you pass under that freeway. So it is a physical symbol of economic divide. It's a deterrent to integrating this section of San Pablo, into the rest of the city.
The only way to solve it, he says, is to demolish it. That's one of 3 plans proposed by Caltrans officials after fielding more than 10 years of complaints by residents.
So we're looking for ways to reconnect the community and also repair the harm from construction of Interstate 980.
Becky Frank is leading the Caltrans Vision 980 study. She says a priority of the project is to rebuild public trust through community input in the three options that have so far been presented.
The first scenario is enhance, and that's improving the existing overcrossing and undercrossings without removing any of the infrastructure. The next scenario is cover, and that allows us to put a cover over the freeway between Castro and Brush Street. And on covers, you can have pathways and parks. And then the third scenario is removing Interstate 980 and replacing it with a boulevard. And that scenario could free up land for new types of development and parks, businesses, homes.
The options range from lowest cost, time, and impact to highest cost, time, and impact. Although estimates have not yet been made public, the project could free up roughly 14 acres of space, equal to more than 10 football fields. And for David, he says his mind is made up.
I absolutely have a preferred option of the three options: remove. So this would be a wonderful opportunity to come back and repair some of the harm that was done a generation before by allowing the community to not only help participate in determining what this is going to look like, but also to participate in sharing in the benefits of that project.
And you can submit your comments on the project online until July 11th. Caltrans will also be taking input from community members this Sunday at the West Oakland Farmers Market starting at 10 a.m. It's not clear how Caltrans will make a final decision, and it won't be soon. This is just the first step in a very long process.
Oakland's police union says that the city council is not listening to the community and did not put public safety first in its new budget.
And as KRON 4's Dan Kerman reports now, the union leaders are asking the mayor to intervene.
When the Oakland City Council adopted its two-year budget earlier this month, council members said it put public safety first.
What I'm asking here is that for our council to reconsider the decision they made this year.
But the head of the Oakland Police Officers Association says it does nothing to boost the number of officers on the force, and in fact cuts one of 3 annual police academies.
Operational strength is about 530. So realistically, we're down 300 police officers plus in our city, just to be at baseline.
Now the POA is requesting newly elected Mayor Barbara Lee reopen the budget process because the budget passed will result in defunding of the Oakland Police Department and increase the danger of crime for residents and businesses.
I think that we need to move in the right directions and answer to what the voters have been asking for. They've been asking for public safety. Public safety meaning they want more police officers on the street. They want to see more police officers responding to the call when they are calling the police.
In its letter to Mayor Lee, the OPOA cited a recent report from the Bay Area Council Economic Institute suggesting the council should prioritize public safety funding above all else in order to make Oakland economically viable again.
Without public safety, you're not going to have people that want to come to work. You're going to see buildings devalued, property taxes down. You're not going to have people going to bars and restaurants, sales tax is down from where it should be.
That said, the Bay Area Council's Economic Institute is not critical of the budget that was just passed, saying it's a back-to-basics approach that has elements people will be happy about and critical of.
We're entering this conversation now at this point to ensure that the next budget cycle, again, public safety is at the forefront when we're talking about how to spend money in Oakland.
While the mayor can advise on the budget in Oakland, it's the city council that makes the final decision. When asked about the OPOA demands, Mayor Lee made no commitment one way or the other.
I'm going to talk to the police officer. I'm surprised that the letter was released to the press so early before I had a chance to discuss this with them. But I will discuss it with them.
Dan Kerman, KRON 4 News.
Police in Oakland are raising alarms about a new wave of crimes targeting rideshare drivers. They've heard of 3 cases where someone orders a rideshare, then tries to steal the car or rob the driver. Police say this is happening after 9 p.m. near 46th Avenue and Foothill Boulevard, again in Oakland. Police arrested 2 suspects so far, both under 18. They're searching for a 3rd teenage suspect. Police say that despite these cases, crime is going down across the city.
I've seen the videos of stores broken into and damaged over and over and over again. But it turns out crimes like these may not only be hurting businesses in Oakland, but also the city's bottom line. Our Kara St. Cyr has more on a new study that says a lack of public safety is directly impacting Oakland's budget crisis.
We have some shrimp tacos and fish tacos too. It's feel very terrible, and then like I said, it's very stressful to trying to run a business and having so many robberies.
Osvaldo Sanchez's restaurant in Oakland has been broken into 22 times between 2016 and 2024.
We changed the lock because he also was broken so many times that the lock didn't work anymore, so we had to change that.
Each break-in cost him thousands of dollars, fixing windows and doors. But he also loses out on customers.
People is feeling unsafe, they don't want to go out to eat because they're not feeling safe.
A new report from the Bay Area Council Economic Institute shows that crime like Sanchez experiences is linked to Oakland's budget crisis.
Oakland can't get out of its budget crisis if it doesn't first solve its public safety crisis.
Jeff Belisario, one of the authors of the report and the executive director of the council, says data shows that Oakland's budget woes often keep police underfunded, which he says comes with dire economic consequences.
More than half of Oakland residents are actually leaving the city to do their shopping, right? So that has an impact on sales tax. When we ask people across the East Bay how they feel about Oakland, nearly 3/4 say they're avoiding Oakland's restaurants, bars, entertainment options because they don't feel safe.
The report highlighted 13 recommendations, including suggestions for loosening police oversight and increased funding for OPD, something Sanchez thinks would help his business.
If there is more secure on the streets, more police outside, I think that's also going to help a little bit in terms of robberies. More secure, more secure for the city.
For him, the report was a validation of what he's experienced. And he says change can't come fast enough.
Police reform groups have been critical of the report, saying they disagree with the conclusions formed by the Bay Area Council Economic Institute.
News Bay Area Afternoon Edition with Ann Makovic.
Right now in the afternoon edition, the fare gates were just opened. The issue giving thousands of Bay Area commuters a free morning ride today. Good afternoon. I'm Ryan Yamamoto in for Ann. The Clipper card system used by multiple Bay Area transit agencies has been down for hours now. The Metropolitan Transportation System, which runs Clipper, says they are working on a fix. Our Veronica Macias talked to people at the Embarcadero BART station who got a free ride.
With fares keeping things moving for BART, on this Tuesday morning, the Clipper cards not working could be considered a financial hit for the agency that keeps increasing its prices to keep up with inflation.
I just wanted to make sure everything was straight. I didn't want to.
We found some very honest riders on this Tuesday morning who wanted to make sure it wasn't just their Clipper card not working before walking through those fare gates. BART releasing a statement saying, quote, "This is not related to our fare gates, and we understand work is being done to resolve the issue as quickly as possible." It might be a tough pill to swallow, though, for the Bay Area Rapid Transit Agency, given that they've implemented fare increases at the beginning of the year and will continue to do so to keep up with inflation. While riders definitely appreciated the free ride on this Tuesday morning, riders say they're willing to pay more in fares rather than cutting any service.
Probably raise the fares again. I mean, it's a system that needs money, but they put the new fare gates in, which cost a lot of money, and we'll see what happens with that.
Again, this is impacting all Bay Area transit agencies that accept Clipper for payment. That includes BART, Muni, Caltrain, VTA, AC Transit. A representative for MTC says the Clipper contractor is investigating. We reached out to the different transit agencies to ask how much money was lost since they couldn't collect fares through Clipper. We are now waiting for their response. This all comes on the same day fares are going up on many transit systems, including Muni, starting today. Clipper and Muni mobile users will pay $2.85 per ride. That's up 10 cents. Seniors and low-income riders will see a 5-cent bump to $1.40. Monthly passes go up $1, and cable car rides jump to $9. Also starting today, Caltrain is raising its base fare by 25 cents. The railway is staring down a $75 million deficit over the next decade. The agency warns that without new funding, it may have to cut service, close stations, or trim costs. And for those who ride the San Francisco Bay Ferry, your fares will cost 3% more. That is an extra 25 cents for most trips. It is part of the annual fare increase plan approved by the Ferry Board in 2023. Developing story on Capitol Hill, the U.S. Senate just passed President Trump's budget bill in a 51-50 vote, but the bill faces another vote and a hurdle in the U.S. House. Natalie Brand has the details from the White House.
The vice president votes in the affirmative. The bill as amended is passed.
Vice President J.D. Vance delivered the tie-breaking vote to pass the massive GOP budget bill.
This is a historic direction that we're moving for President Trump and the American people that elected us to run the government in a different direction.
All Democratic senators opposed the measure, joined by Republicans Tom Tillis, Rand Paul, and Susan Collins. But Lisa Murkowski of Alaska ultimately voted to support the legislation.
This bill will lead to a much greater deficit over time, and I don't believe it's fiscally responsible.
The passage followed a more than 24-hour vote-a-rama on amendments and tense overnight session.
President Trump is still pushing to have the bill on his desk by July 4th, but acknowledged it could be difficult. And he's also cautioning lawmakers against trimming too much from the final version.
We're going to have to see the final version. I don't want to go too crazy with cuts. I don't like cuts. There are certain things that have been cut, which is good. I think we're doing well. We're going to have to see. It's very complicated stuff. Great enthusiasm, as you know.
The bill, which extends the 2017 Trump tax cuts and eliminates federal taxes on tips and overtime pay, increases money for defense and immigration enforcement. But it cuts Medicaid spending, and the Congressional Budget Office estimates it could increase the deficit by nearly $3.3 trillion. That's significantly more than the House version, threatening the support of conservative hardliners there. One group posting on social media, "That's not fiscal responsibility. That's not what we agreed to."
I have prevailed upon my Senate colleagues to please get it as close to the House product as possible.
The House will be back in session soon to consider the changes the Senate made to the bill.
In a statement, California Senator Alex Padilla said, quote, Senate Republicans just voted to let President Trump and his billionaire buddies steal from working families in order to cut their own taxes by trillions of dollars. Governor Newsom says the Senate bill would hurt California during wildfire season. Speaking at a news conference at Cal Fire, he said it contained cuts to the Forest Service and weather forecasting.
We're putting people's lives and property at risk. The President of the United States needs to do more to back up his rhetoric with investments and resources, to roll back the cuts at the U.S. Forest Service, to increase the pay of our firefighters and support teams, and to reconcile the fact that these partnerships include the critical weather monitoring, the critical work that NOAA does.
Newsom says he sent President Trump a letter and a pre-written executive order asking for money for wildfire prevention, and said he asked him to recall the thousands of National Guard troops in Los Angeles, saying they could be working on wildfire prevention. And a wildfire warning from officials in Santa Clara County leading to the 4th of July. They say a single spark from an illegal firework could start a house or wildfire. All fireworks are illegal in Santa Clara County. Dr. Clifford Schechter works at the Burn Center at Valley Medical Center. He says even fireworks labeled safe and sane can cause severe damage and injuries.
Every year, sparklers end up being one of our main causes of injury. Seemingly like a safe and childish like firework, sparklers set clothing on fire. There's no child who can safely manage a sparkler. All it takes is just resting it down at your side for a couple seconds and your child is on fire.
The Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office says if you're caught with illegal fireworks, you could face a citation or even be arrested for a felony. Okay, first alert weather right now. Let's give you a live look outside, and it's all about Bay Area microclimates, including right here by the Golden Gate Bridge. I guess the top has been chopped off, but you can see kind of the base. Here's meteorologist Jessica Birch. Hey, Jess.
Yeah, it's just the Golden Gate
not the bridge, or it's just the bridge, not the Golden Gate. Here's what's happening for us, though, in those microclimates. I want to start off with what's happening this afternoon, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about that 4th of July forecast, because it's right around the corner, and we're gearing up for a beautiful day ahead of us for the 4th. However, we take a look at our microclimates today. We have low 60s in the forecast from Half Moon Bay all the way over into San Francisco. The more south you go along 101, we warm up fast into the 80s from Redwood City all the way into San Jose. But from the coast all the way off into our inland areas, we're still seeing that 30-degree temperature spread. From Half Moon Bay over into Antioch, today we're warming up into the 90s over there. We have 70s throughout wine country today and all throughout the North Bay, with a whole bunch of 80s trickled in there as we head our way south all the way into the Santa Clara Valley. The thing is, now we're starting to see those clouds pull back along the coast. You saw it right there with that Golden Gate Bridge look. It's still going to be very foggy and cool and cloudy along the coast into the evening hours tonight. Into the overnight hours tonight, we're actually going to see the bay fill with fog once again. That's how we're going to wake up tomorrow morning. It's stretching all the way into Sacramento and then pulling back tomorrow afternoon, just along the coast, just like what we saw today. And we can also see some light drizzle in the forecast, too, in those early morning hours. But before we even get there, let's take a look at this afternoon. From now until around 5 o'clock tonight, we can see gusts up to around 20 to 25 miles per hour, anywhere from Fairfield over into Napa, San Francisco included. I'll have more on that 4th of July forecast coming up in just a bit. But for now, back to you.
All right, thanks, Jess. Starting today, new laws kick in across California. Here's what changes when it comes to your money and how you shop. Subscription services must now offer easy cancellation with a simple click to cancel button. Airbnb and other short-term rentals must list cleaning fees up front. Pet insurers must clearly explain premium hikes and coverage limits, and online marketplaces have to report sellers who may be selling stolen goods to law enforcement. Minimum wages go up in parts of the Bay Area also today. That includes Alameda, Berkeley, San Francisco, Fremont, Milpitas, and Emeryville, which now close to $20 an hour in minimum wage. Sonoma County gets a living wage increase. These are for some of the county government's lowest paid employees and companies under contract with the county. Those wages go up to $23.15 per hour. That's up from $18.10. Still ahead at noon and streaming on CBS News Bay Area. President Trump inspects the site dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. While we're learning about the controversial site meant to hold undocumented immigrants. And here at home, why the future of more than 100 Bay Area mom and pop food businesses are now at risk. Well, President Trump went to Florida today to inspect the site of a controversial new migrant detention center dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. It's being built to hold undocumented immigrants in the middle of the Everglades. Officials say it could house up to 5,000 detainees at a cost of $450 million. The facility is surrounded by dangerous wildlife, oppressive heat, and it raises alarms with immigration advocates over due process concerns. Check out Wall Street right now. Here's a live look at the big board. And right now you can see the Dow is trending in positive territory. It's up 410 points this afternoon. We should note Tesla stock has been suffering as CEO Elon Musk spars once again with President Trump over the spending bill. Musk writing that the bill would, quote, destroy millions of jobs in America. And the future of more than 100 mom and pop food businesses now at risk. The Commissary Kitchen in the East Bay, where they prep their meals, is closing its doors today. The kitchen launched 6 years ago, and despite its success, budget woes finally caught up to its ability to operate.
The tacos for today, we're making barbacoa, beef barbacoa tacos.
In a kitchen full of flavor, for Gracia and her husband Antonio, today's cook and prep was bittersweet.
And we're just like so depressed.
The sadness comes from this letter they received a month ago, that the Alameda County Deputy Sheriff's Activities League Community Kitchen in San Leandro was closing down on July 1st. A commissary kitchen since 2019 that had served as a launchpad for dozens of businesses, offering space, support, and resources for entrepreneurs like Gracia, who opened her catering and meal prep business L'Amour 3 years ago.
This place gave us a chance to not only start our businesses, but also like grow, reach more people, and just create a great solid foundation.
But the foundation of the community kitchen eventually began to crumble under the weight of financial and budget constraints, where for the past 3 years the kitchen was losing $20,000 a month with a balloon payment on an $800,000 loan due in 2027. The board decided it was, quote, unsustainable for us to continue operating the kitchen. For Chef Mickey Bunong, who also launched his healthy meal prep business Alab inside the kitchen,
I'm grateful for this space.
He has now had to trade in his chef's hat.
Whatever the 3 months.
And work as the kitchen manager.
Pre, ready to go? Oh, man.
Helping the more than 100 current businesses pack up and find a new commissary kitchen where they can survive.
60 to 70% are going to continue with their businesses. I would say 10% would be, going to be closing doors or ceasing operations. And probably 20% would be the unknown yet. We don't know yet what they're going to do.
For Grecia and Antonio, closing the doors on their business is not an option.
We cannot afford that because this is what my family lives on.
They found a new kitchen in Oakland to continue cooking, hoping the change will be a recipe for success. And the Deputy Sheriff's Activities League is now looking to Alameda County to help them with the outstanding loan. The county voted to provide funds for those small businesses to help them transition to a new commissary kitchen. Their hope is to eventually reopen the community kitchen in San Leandro. Looking live at Oracle Park, where the Giants are away. The stadium is hosting some pretty big concerts tonight. Oh, tonight, Post Malone. Shakira rocked the stage at Oracle Park before the concert. Lines of fans wrapped around the ballpark. Fans without tickets opted to listen to the show across McCovey Cove at China Basin Park. Probably a great show there. Okay, back to our first alert weather right now. Let's give you a live look outside in San Jose, where it's much warmer than it is here in San Francisco. Let's check back in with meteorologist Jessica Burton. Jess, I mean, it's strange. In San Francisco, it's in the 60s, and you can go all the way to Antioch, and it's like a 30-degree difference.
I know. It's been wild. Yesterday, I was driving in San Francisco, and I was up on a higher hill, and I was able to make out Oakland just over the Bay Water. It was wild to see how sunny and warm Oakland was and how cool and chilly where I was at in San Francisco was. And it's true, all of our microclimates are doing something different. That's the case again today with low 60s in SF, lower 70s in Oakland, but we continue to heat up fast the more east we go. Antioch today is in the 90s. Our inland areas up in the North Bay are in the 70s. And if you live in the Santa Clara Valley, more likely than not, you're probably sitting in the 80s throughout this afternoon, regardless if you're along the foothills or all the way down into the valley itself. Now, we're also seeing sunny skies widespread throughout all those inland areas I just mentioned, but into the overnight hours tonight, that fog fills the bay once again. We're going to wake up to that tomorrow. It actually makes its way all the way throughout the Delta, pushing into the Sacramento Valley. But just like clockwork, it starts to pull back along the shoreline into the afternoon hours tomorrow. We'll see a repeat of that throughout the next couple days. Now, at the same time, we're also gearing up for some light winds in the morning hours, but gustier conditions into the afternoon. Kind of like what we're dealing with right now. 20-mile-per-hour winds anywhere from San Francisco up into Napa. Gustier conditions all the way over into Fairfield throughout this afternoon. We take a quick look at the next 7 days. This is what we're gearing up for. We have the Bay forecast just below me. We have 60s and 70s kind of flirting back and forth with each other as we head into this weekend's forecast. And for 4th of July, we're gearing up for 60s. Partly cloudy skies, which means that 4th of July forecast could potentially be a little bit foggier for our friends along the coast. We'll keep a close eye on that. But for our friends all the way over to our inland spots, we're gearing up for beautiful sunshine, warm conditions. Temperatures also starting to actually dip down a little bit. Right now, we're sitting mostly in the 80s. We'll see more 70s return into the forecast heading into Friday. For now, we'll be right back.
Well, NBA free agency is underway, and while the Warriors were not busy adding